That shit crazy. What I will do is stand next to this piece. Mad cool. That shit's mad cool. How are y'all doing? Hope that you like the experience. I hope that you can hear me. I'm always mic'd up. I'm the ops.
Don't worry, Bobby. I was just about to turn it on.
Welcome.
So I look at you or the camera, what's best?
You look at me.
Okay.
Either way, doesn't matter to me.
Cool. It's gonna be fun as hell.
Feeling super professional on the other side of the table. So what are we gonna do for this next exhibition?
Right? Nah, that's what it's like. That's basically what happens in here.
So fashion was one of the first things I noticed. We got to definitely connect on.
Yeah.
I saw you and your wife were both really, really stylish.
Thank you.
Yo, off-white, you've had a month.
Yeah.
Yo, what's going on?
Yeah.
What's some of your earliest experiences with that?
So, it's crazy because I was just thinking about this today. I think definitely like growing up in New York was just exposed me to so much clothing, you know. When I was growing up, it was interesting because my parents are both like the oldest, right? So like my dad's the oldest in his child, my mom's the oldest in hers, and so one day they both just like to dress too. Like my mom has a basement full of clothes, like crazy amounts of clothes. Like she buys so much clothes, and my dad's the same way. And so it was like, and they're both like known for dressing as well. So I think that's just something that like that concept has just, you know, my parents being people who dress. That's always been something that I was around. And then like I was saying, like they were the oldest, so that meant that for me, like also like all my uncles and my aunts, like when I was growing up, that's when they were in like, you know, like their late teens to like, you know, basically their late teens to late 20s kind of thing, you know. So like I also got to see all of them when they were being their freshest, right? And then on top of like, you know, like my uncle, I have an uncle, my uncle Jamal is like a huge sneakerhead, and like probably one of the original sneakerheads, like before everybody was a sneakerhead, you know what I'm saying? Like he's been on it. Like dude got the original of everything. Like when people talk about we're gonna bring back the infrared, or we're gonna bring back whatever the Olympics, he has the first one, like and it's like sometimes he has to buy the new ones because like his are so old, like the sole is literally crumbling. So that was a lot of the environment that I was like literally around, like in my crib, you know what I'm saying? So my dad was really into basketball, right? My dad is like still like a super important basketball coach in New York. Like he coaches in the Bronx. He has like one of the most prominent basketball teams in the Bronx, and with that, they would often go play teams in Harlem, right? So then when I started going with him to these basketball games, going to Rucker Park, this was the era when like everyone was wearing like white tees. And like to go to the park and see people have like, you know, $500 jeans and like, you know, white tees from Foot Locker, and no one would wear the same white tee twice, right? It was like this whole culture of also like dressing in another way that just really opened my eyes to a lot. And I remember just like after a while, like I would go to the games just so I could see what people were wearing, you know? And so like that just kind of like being in that environment just really taught me to like really appreciate it. There were people around me, I didn't even know about the culture like that at the time. I was just too young, but there were people around me who were like low heads. You know, I also had like the privilege of like growing up in a time when, you know, like my brothers and my cousins and stuff, they had friends who would just like be skating like for like Supreme, you know, and like but none of it was like crazy at that time. It was just like a culture, and it was just like what people did, and it was just kind of like that's just what they would wear. And like this is a time when you could literally like walk into a Supreme store and buy a box logo like any day. Like they were just literally like the store tees that were there. You could get them like they was not selling out. They was not on resale. You know what I mean? So like it's been more interesting for me too to like also see these cultures like blow up so much. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean like my connection to fashion is like it's super personal, and like I've also just seen it just like empower so many people, and just also like straight up be their escape. You know what I'm saying? Like be the way that they, you know, just like deal with sometimes like harsh realities. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's always been like that. I mean, damn, I could even go to my grandparents. You know, it's like I was laughing because like I have a lot of clothes. Like if you go to my apartment, yeah, if you went to my apartment right now, you'd be like, this guy is insane. Like it's all like, especially between me and my wife, clothes are all over the place all the time. Like, I mean, we're literally like bursting out of our closets. You know what I'm saying? And like the thing about it is, when I went to visit my grandfather, because my grandmother had just passed, he has like all of this stuff. He has just like his closets are overpacked. He has like 4 or 5 closets. They're all packed with button-ups. And it's like, I never even realized like this dude has like 1,000 different plaid button-ups, right? And like, but my grandmother was super stylish and was like, you know, like she wouldn't walk down the block if she wasn't gonna like put her makeup on, put her clothes on. You're not gonna see her leave the house. So, you know, I just kind of like, I come from people who are definitely about adornment and have an appreciation for that in that way. So
that's cool. So what are some of your favorite designers out of I guess the classic era?
Yeah.
And the modern era?
Oh man, yo, that's super interesting because like it's hard for me. I think like Raph is just so influential to everybody. You know what I'm saying? So like I would say Raph. I mean, I guess for me, like things blend in my head a lot, right? I guess what I'll do then, instead of answering that directly, if it's cool with you, I'll just tell you who my favorite designers are, because really they span like everything, and a lot of them are still active. They're just seen as like legends now. So like I love Raph, but like really like the person who I would say I probably emulate like the most, even with like my career as like an artist and a designer, where I really want to go is Hiroshi Fujiwara. Wow. Yeah, who's like, you know, founder of Fragment and done a billion other things. To me, that's like my like, you know, like holy grail. Like that's somebody who like when I see what he does and I see the way he puts things together, like you know, like ideally like, oh, that's like I want to be Hiroshi Fujiwara, you know what I'm saying? Or like if I had a dream collaboration, it would be like Fragment, you know what I'm saying? But then after that, like I'm a huge fan of the brands like SoftNet. I'm wearing FCRB Bristol right now, so I love that stuff. Like I love like the original kind of. So I guess that to me, that's what the classics would be, like the original, especially original group of Japanese designers, right? So of course Nigo's in there with Bape. You know, Undercover is another brand. Mastermind Japan. Like to me, those are like the brands that like I look at and I'm just like always floored by. Like even when I look at their old stuff, when I look at their new stuff, like to me that's like one of the biggest sources of inspiration for everything I do. Y3, you know what I'm saying? Like I was gonna do this whole thing and not drop Yoji Yamamoto's name. I mean, I would have been sacrilegious. So it's it's like all of these people, man. That's the thing. It's like right now, I'm gonna forget, but like I be waiting for that Essence end of year sale
right.
every couple months, man. Every time I see them and prices start marking down, like my whole wish list is crazy. So right now, man, like what I think is so dope, dude, is I'm really like mad inspired by like more than anybody else, like designers who actually come from and reflect, the culture, which is crazy because definitely, I would say until this point, I really looked a lot at like the Japanese designers because, they were people of color, they were people who loved hip hop, so it felt like it spoke to me. But I think now you have people like Pirate Moss, you got Samuel Ross with A Cold Wall, you got Jerry Lorenzo with Fear of God, of course Virgil of White and Louis Vuitton, Kim Jones from he's the one who was at Louis Vuitton before Virgil, so he's the one who brought the Supreme Louis Vuitton collab over to LV, and now he's over at Dior. So now Dior is doing some crazy stuff. Then like there's this other brand named Alex who's designed by this dude named Matthew Williams. I think those guys are sick. Kim Jones, Matthew Williams are both sick. Denma from Vetements is crazy, but all those guys come from the Yeezy camp. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's still Kanye. Like that's still a black designer from the culture who put those people on. There's a guy, I forget his name right now. He's a black designer as well, but he's the sneaker designer right now over at Versace. So he's the one who did like the Versace Chain Reaction joint. He's really dope. But once again, like he comes from Yeezy. So that's the other thing. I mean, people always forget it, but I think even you can feel however you want about the actual designs that he puts out and stuff. But I also think Kanye is definitely like one of the most important fashion designers of the last 10 years. Definitely the most important fashion tastemaker for sure. That's without a doubt.
That's super interesting. I was just saying the other day, I call School of Donna. Now we're in this era that's exactly. I mean, this is definitely like the School of Donna era. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Like, I mean, there's this Chinese sneaker brand called Li Ning, and like over the last few years, they've been doing incredible work. That's another person who comes from Adidas through Yeezy. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody that people are really like, who has an opportunity now to do dope stuff and they're actually doing it. I mean, pretty much all of them come from that school. Like, it's hard to find someone who doesn't. And I mean, like I said, just even Vetements, like just the fact that Denma comes from that. I mean, that is it right there. I mean, that's what I would say. I mean, but to be real, if I really think about it, like I love Vetements. I mean, I love it. Like I think if I had the ability to do whatever I want and just really had the opportunity to produce, I mean, I'd probably make stuff a lot like what they make because I feel like they troll the whole fashion industry, and I love it. Like, I love what he's doing with Balenciaga. I love what he's doing with Vetements. I think it's funny. I think it's clever. I think it's what fashion needs right now. So yeah, man. I mean, I like a lot of what's going on in fashion right now, to be honest. Like, I think it's a really dope time. I think there's a lot of really ill opportunities. There's a lot of different types of designers representing different stuff. I love the fact that there's really no difference between streetwear and high fashion right now. Yeah, man, I love all of it, bro. Like, it actually gets hard for me to also like stop and think about who I'm not fucking with. It's like, because everybody I think is doing something like interesting, man, and I think it's just that kind of time where like new ideas pop up and they're dope. I mean, even certain brands that are like, like I think even brands that are at like urban now, man. Like, I love Chinatown Market. You know what I'm saying? And like, they're good. It don't matter. Like, yeah, they're sort of urban outfitters, but they're fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like nowadays, like I feel like there's so much going on and like so many different ways that like that fashion is just like crazy. People are just getting dope stuff off. That kind of connects with how you do your art and things too.
Oh my god, yeah, definitely. So like, so that's the thing. So like, one, I'm a huge fan of like hip hop, right? Like, I listen to rap music all day, all night. Heavy into like rap battles. Like, I love hip hop.
Like Smack URL.
Smack URL. I'm a huge Smack URL fan. I watch every battle that drops. Bro, I have YouTube Premium so that I don't have to watch more commercials on top of the 10 to 5 minutes of commercials that Smack has on his joints. Even crazy, man. I grew up around Smack.
right? So like if he sees me around, he's like, oh, that's like the little homie. Like I grew up around them. And he used to have like Smack DVD before it was like URL. Like I've known him like in that era. Even people like Dame Dash, right? Like these are people that used to like come around because they knew my family, especially because like I was saying, my family was like really known for playing basketball, especially like in the New York area. So like people like Dame Dash used to like, I was too young at the time, but he used to bring my cousins to like the Rockaware like warehouses, and they used to just be able to run through and just get whatever they wanted. So like they would come back with stuff. I couldn't fit nothing, but I would still have like full, like Rockaware velour suits. Like it was like, so that's the thing. Like so for me, all these people being around, all these people inspiring me, like that also like was just another like fashion light bulb. Like seeing these people who are like, like Smack gets fresh, you know what I'm saying? All these people who are involved with hip hop, it was always important to be fresh. So that's one thing is like having a family. I was like very into hip hop, very into style. To me, it always felt like that's just a part of the package. And then like when it came to my own art, that's also how I got into making visuals. So like a lot of people around my family like being rappers and like musicians and stuff like that. Basically like one of my closest uncles, he like got very like heavy into rapping at one point, and like was connecting with people like people like DJ Envy were like hosting like helping him like host his mixtapes and stuff like that. Like this was like like pre-Breakfast Club Envy, but still Envy was one of the biggest DJs in the city. So people like that, kind of being around, like what I started to do was like I saw that I had a lane myself. I was sort of rapping and stuff like that, but I was always like, I was too young for them to really, really take it serious. Like every time I would spit something that was hot, it was like, oh, it's hot because he's young. You know what I'm saying? I was always like, all right, whatever. Like I want to be taken serious. And so like what I started to do then was I started to make mixtape covers for all of my family, anybody who was around me, man. And then like that's how I really got into visuals like that. So that's what I mean. Like for me, it's always been like I didn't I'm self-taught with all the stuff that I do when it comes to visuals, and so like for me it was just more of a thing of just like sitting there like on the computer because they had beat programs, they would pirate Photoshop or whatever, so I would just hop on my uncle's computer and like when he wasn't looking, and then like he would turn around and I'd be like, yo, I made this cover for you. He'd be like, oh, that's hot. You know what I'm saying? Like just doing whatever, like little photo manipulations of like pictures of him and his friends and stuff, and then that evolved into me getting, when I was in middle school and like probably like early years of high school, I was super heavy on rap message boards because that's just kind of what was going on at the time. Definitely like like before Twitter and all that was like really popping. So I was mad heavy on rap message boards, and like a lot of times, like besides just like bullshitting and posting random stuff and like making jokes and stuff like that, I was making a lot of graphics, and that was really dope because it was kind of like it kind of felt like Gladiator School because there was like 3 different levels, and a lot of it's this main message board that's called Boxden, which was it's like one of the more popular ones, and it's crazy. Like to this day, I'm a moderator on Boxden. Oh shit! Yeah, I'm a moderator on it. Like that's how heavy I was on there. I definitely was like their youngest moderator ever. That was like my whole angle, so like I was on there all day, every day, and basically the way that they had a graphic section and the way that it was broken down was like professional, like whatever, middle, beginner. You know what I'm saying? And like I think the first time I tried to post something professional, they was like, nah, go to beginning. And then like I would try to post something intermediate, they'd be like, nah, go to beginning. And like that was crazy because like I think that was like the first, like one of the first times like just throwing my stuff out there, dealing with responses. But then after a while, like you work through it. And then one day I posted in beginner after like whatever, like probably like years or something like that. And then it was like, oh, yo, we're gonna move this to the like whatever, the middle section. I was like, oh, like damn, like that's what's up. You know what I'm
I'm saying? So like, I think for me, it's always been like that. Like, and then after that, like, you know, just being on the computer, making art, understanding that, becoming my medium, it became so natural for me to create like that, you know, for now when I think about designing fashion, or even if I think about making a piece like 3D art or whatever, like all of it is just like super fluid for me and connects. So yeah,
that's super cool.
Yeah.
We got hip hop, fashion, and art.
Yeah.
What was your first sort of moment where you said it clicked and you were like, I'm going to be an artist?
Man, you know what? I think it was this idea that when I looked at hip hop, when I looked at fashion, I felt like, and I still don't know if this is true. It's crazy. I thought this at one point in my life, but I don't know if it's true now. I felt like all of those things, like fashion, rap music, all this stuff, like at the end of the day, they were inspired by what was happening in art, right? Just like, I mean, like big, like whatever, studio art, whatever that means to you. Now I look at it a lot different. To me now, I just think it's all art, right? But I think there was a certain point in my life where I felt like, yo, you know, you would see, for instance, you would see a Raf Simons collection, and then it would have this art by some guy like Sterling Ruby, and then you're like, yo, who is that person? And then you see they just make these like really large scale paintings or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like I think like that idea to me was like, man, interesting. Like, yo, there's this whole other level of creation that is inspiring, like fashion, you know what I'm saying? That inspires that, and then that inspires rap. To me, it was just like, it felt like some kind of like trickle down a food chain, and I was like, oh, I really want to get into that too. Like, and I think part of it was just like not really growing up around that too much, you know? Like, I mean, my family, they would take me out, we would go to parks, we would go to stuff, but I never had like a real, like, none of my family goes to galleries like at the ones I show at, you know? Unless I'm showing there, then they'll come be a part of it, but like they're not a part of that world like that. So I think part of it too was it was probably like the one type of outlet creatively that wasn't like super clear to me. Like I'm telling you, man, like I remember my uncle sitting me down and like playing me Rakim's 13th Letter album and being like, yo, this is real hip hop. Like, this is different. Like, you listen to the lyrics. Like, don't listen to the beat. Like, listen to the words. And it was like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? Or stuff like that. Or like, seeing the way my dad dressed. Like, my dad's type of dude, like, he really likes shoes. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way that, I mean, not even sneakers, like, shoes. And like, so like, seeing him go to the store and be like, oh, these are the nice Stacey Adams, now later Gators. These are like, you know, whatever, corny shoes that you don't want to rock. Like, I understood that shit so deeply. Like, it wasn't a question for me of like, oh, like, what's this about? Like, I got it. You know what I'm saying? When it came to like street style and when it came to like rap music, honestly, when it came to music in general, like my grandparents are soul singers. You know what I'm saying? So like, to me, it like that was so clear, I think, that and I've always been creative. Like, I've definitely always been creative. And I think I also kind of looked at this art world as something that was like different and exciting and like, yo, what's going on over there? You know what I'm saying? And like, oh, okay, like, oh, damn, like, you know, they throwing crazy parties like that. But again, like, it was just like this whole different world for me. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of it was that. Like, that's what I was saying. Like, now it's crazy because like, I know I don't feel like that no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way that I feel about it now is actually that it's all art. Like, I think Kodak Black is just as dope as Murakami. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, it's all one. I'm inspired by them the same, and I think that they have geniuses in different ways, but that are equal. So I think that's the thing. Like I would say now, I really don't separate them that much. And honestly now, I think that all of them inspire each other. Like, people who make painting, people who make whatever, who make studio art, they're just as inspired by like fashion and music as music is inspired by them. Like, the actual ecosystem is hella reciprocal. It's like no one really is above the other, no matter what people think, right? Because you could look at the, you know, highest paid whatever painter in the world. Then you look at the highest paid musician. Both of them are great. Both of them are getting paid, but just like the highest paid filmmakers, like everybody's doing well, and everybody, in the same way, everybody could struggle. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like now I feel like they're actually all the same. But I think what really like got me into making art was, I think, it being distant from me and me kind of like putting it on this pedestal at one point in my life, and getting pretty serious about that, and then banging out with it. At the same time, though, man, like I think I also got lucky that I tried to enter the art world, and I got lucky enough where that happened, right? So now I look at it, and I look at them the same also because, like, I'm here, I work at a museum. I get to show in, like, galleries that I have, like, a lot of respect for. Like, that's a huge thing, and after a while, like, sometimes you get, like, once you're a part of something, you don't see it the same way no more. But, I don't know, man, I think about this all the time. Like, I think, I grew up around a street where I grew up around music. I think my next steps and where I want to go next is finding ways to like work with record labels closer or something like that, or starting brands. Right now, I'm doing that, and I think, let's say I have a life where, I don't know, instead of working here in a museum, I work at like an independent record label that does numbers though. That's like dope. Let's say I work at QC and I actually have a poppin' streetwear brand. I think I would be so thirsty and hungry and like really be wondering like, damn, like do these intellectuals not think I'm smart enough to do that? Right? Like, do these people not think my shit could be thoughtful enough to be in a gallery? Like, I think if I wasn't in this position, then I would actually still have that feeling like, like I could do that though, because like I think that's a lot of how I feel about like barriers to like getting into like the music industry or into like fashion. Like, they kind of frustrate me, because I'm like, I could do that. Like, I'm just as nice as that. I just haven't had the chance to prove it.
Just kind of like that inaccessibility of it.
Yep. So I think that's what's mad funny now. It's like art was always super inaccessible to me. And now, like, I'm definitely, like, a part of the art world in a way, to be honest, I never thought I would be. Like, I have, the collective that I run, Feltzine. I made that collective because I thought I would never be shown in a museum. So I wanted to really champion artists that might not never make it there, but were fire, right? Like, I don't know, I just had it in my head, like, there's no way I'm ever going to have my art in a gallery. There's no way I'm never going to be in a museum because I make digital shit, like, I'm a young black man who loves rap and fashion, and like, there's no way. Like, whoever's going to accept me?
It's like so many doors in front.
Yeah. I was like, nobody's ever going to let me do. I mean, like, I went to college, but I got terrible grades. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't focused. I didn't like the environment. I was like, there's no way. There's no way it's going to happen. Fast forward today, this is where I'm at.
Has anybody ever made you feel in the beginning, or even in middle or now, that you couldn't do something?
Man, yeah, dude.
Like shot you down?
Oh, dude, definitely, man. I would say, dude, like, shit, man. Especially when I was in, I would say, basically, like, as soon as I got to college, like, my whole college experience felt like it was nothing but people shooting me down, like, from everywhere. Like, I didn't feel supported by my community at college. I didn't feel supported by my professors. I mean, shit, a lot of my professors told me to straight drop out. Like, like, I would go meet a professor, they'd be like, have you ever considered, like, dropping out? And it was like, I was not, like, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, it was crazy. Like, some of it was, I mean, definitely some of it was on me. I wasn't in the right place, but I definitely was not talking to the right people. You know what I'm saying? And man, like, yeah, bro, I would say to the point, man, like, I probably didn't even feel, and I probably didn't even get over the trauma of that much rejection, of the constant rejection that I felt through college. Maybe until last summer. Wow. Like, that's how real it was for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean, like, it got less and less, but it wasn't until like this summer that I looked back and I was like, dude, what's crazy? Like, I don't feel like that no more. Like, I know that all of that negativity, I'm not carrying that no more. But yeah, man, like, I felt a lot of rejection in college, and I felt it for a long time. Like, I would say between the ages of like 18 and 22, man, I felt extremely discouraged, dude. Like, extremely discouraged. And in that time, like, it forced me to do like a lot of dumb things. You know what I'm saying? Like, just getting like mad trouble that I shouldn't have gotten in. And then that made it even worse, right? Because then it's like, you have like, man, like, I remember
when I was in college, I got arrested, and it was like pretty like intense, man. It was like SWAT came into our apartment. It was like wild. Yeah, it was intense, man. And like I remember when I was like when they were like processing us and all that, like and this was like crazy. I was just thinking about this the other day. It was like even the cops, man. They made like a comment about so my wife that I'm still with today, I was with her during that time. And we have been together for a few years at that.
Now.
Yeah, we've been together 10 years, and so I was with her during that time, and I remember when the police saying something like either because it was, I don't remember how they figured out, they're like, yo, he has a girlfriend, and then the cop said something along the lines of like, I don't even understand why a woman would be wasting their time with somebody like him. And I was just like, damn, like this is how people are seeing me and feeling about me. Like, it was like even beyond being arrested, like going through that, it was like, to me, that was one thing, but like, that's the shit that hurt me the most, because they were also black men, and it was like crazy to just think like, damn. Then how motherfuckers are seeing me in the world like I'm really like a piece of shit to them. Like they don't even think I deserve a girlfriend. Shit, you know what I'm saying? Right. And like, you know what I'm saying? It was like, and I got busted for like some weed or whatever, but it wasn't even like that crazy. Like I didn't do nothing that crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like the cops that arrested us, they didn't even like keep us in jail. They didn't even go to jail for a second. They processed us, got our fingerprints. They would just like come to the courthouse the next day, you know, just check in with the judge. Yeah. Never even did a day in jail with none of that, dude. And it was just like crazy. Like it was just always these little, like, I think, and now I know what it is. Like as a grown, first of all, for me as a grown man, if I seen a young person like that, if they was even if they was wilding or whatever, I would never look at somebody with a young person like that. You know what I'm saying? I just would never even think about that. I would be like, yo, they might be wilding, but who knows who this person has the potential to be. So I know now that that's on them, right? Like now I understand when somebody puts you down, that's a reflection of them.
That's how they see it.
Yeah, that's how they see it. That's the mirror. They're seeing in you what's in them. You know what I'm saying? It's like Baldwin talks about like
James Baldwin?
Yeah, James Baldwin. He talks about the idea, like the idea of a nigger is in white people. It's white people who see a nigger. It's not black people. Like that's them. That's you. It's not me. That shit is you. You know what I'm saying? And I think like understanding concepts like that made me realize like, oh shit, yeah. Like anything that negative was put on me, you know what I'm saying? When teachers are asking me like if I ever thought about dropping out, like that's because of them. That's because they dropped out of life for real. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even saying that for all college professors. Some are great, but there are some who have dropped out and quit life, and that's all they are there to do.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, please.
It resonated because literally maybe 2 or 3 days ago, I was saying that college professors, not all of them, some of them might really want to teach, but a lot of them are kind of failed at whatever they're teaching.
Exactly. And that's what I started to realize. I was like, yo, when I was in school, man, like I've always been the same. Like I wanted to write, I wanted to make music, I wanted to make art, and like that offends some people. Like it's actually offensive to them to see someone who is young and creative and excited and then also wants to make things that are experimental. Like I didn't want to, especially then, like I definitely was not been into mainstream when I was 19, 20 years old. So it was like, that really makes some people upset. So like that's the thing is like I realized that. But yeah, man, I mean, also in college I would do things like I would put up, you know, like the first art show I did, the first show I ever did, I actually brought an artist from San Francisco. This was crazy. This is also kind of how I ended up out here. I bought an artist, I flew him in, my own money, all this. Like I had no support from my college or everything. I fly an artist in. First of all, we have been trying to find a space for forever. No one would give us space until one of my homies knew this spot that was on top of a bar that they was actually basically shooting porn out of, who we basically, me and my homies knew through making videos, right? And made videos as we've done video work together. He's like, yo, there's this porn studio over here. They'll give us the space. All we got to do is clean it, and then he might ask us to do some editing. So we was like, yo, alright, well, fuck it. Like, we ain't gonna get space nowhere else. We could do this show for a night. We're gonna do it. We'll clean it out. We'll do whatever we gotta do. We'll get busy. We'll make it happen. So we did that. But I remember, like, man, it was so difficult. Like, we brought out this artist who back then went by the name of Cool Kid Crayola. His name's Erlen Jafar, and he's still a friend of mine. He at this time he was going to SFAI, and along with a bunch of other dope artists who kind of came out during like that same kind of class. At that time, it's probably like. I don't want to plan. I don't want to say like this was like the height of his career, because I think he's gonna do more stuff as stuff goes on. But as of to right now, like this was definitely the time when he was like the hottest. He had done some like really crazy projects with SF MoMA while he was still a student, and this was before the new SF MoMA opened. Anyway, just a super dope artist, man, and like super alternative, super wild. I mean, his name was Cool Kid Crayola. It was KKK. He's a Haitian artist. It was all this kind of like really radical stuff that no school in the South had ever seen. Like definitely that university had never seen. So as we get this show set up, you know, when we're already in a porn studio, that's why I make flyers, man, and you know, we put them all over the town like everybody else did. And bro, just because of like the design of the poster and like what it kind of said on it, like the fuck people started ripping the posters down. You know what I'm saying? And like we had a show that was successful and it was awesome. It definitely was like the first and only like real like, you know, like legitimate like independent like art show that town's ever seen. But they basically made it like super uncomfortable for us to do it, right? Like not only were we like in a super alternative space, but then on top of that, like they was like not even like they really didn't want us there, you know what I'm saying? But then at the same time, when the night came and we had the show, it was incredible, you know what I'm saying? Like we had great art. It was the first art show I ever produced. We had a great turnout. We had great music. It was, you know, everything that's similar to what I'm doing now. And like, but that experience, like, it really, I feel like, but that's again one of those things where it's like I was actively trying to do something positive, and just met with so much negativity. You know what I'm saying? That like it had really shook me, man. And like I thought for a long time that like people just wasn't really going to bang with my ideas. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, it made me feel like if I presented something that I was going to get hate. And so it put this like chip on my shoulder that was like, all right, all I can do is create. I can't stop creating. Like that's just what I do. But some people are going to love it. A lot of people are going to hate it. And then it's going to be what it's going to be. Which is cool. I think I'm glad I went through that. But yeah, man, so that was definitely like my experience. I definitely dealt with that a lot, like extremely early on in my career. I would say, though, one thing I would say that's kind of reversed that for me is actually this show, man. With this show, dude, I never really printed like art on like super high quality paper at like the size that I'm printing them at. Never really attempted to even really like sell art like that. Like even though I've been doing a lot of art shows, like I basically would just do like projection and video art and like do some AR, VR. It would be like a lot more like experiential, like digital stuff, which I still love and I'm definitely going to go back to. But with this show, it was really about like challenging myself to do something new. You know, y'all reached out to me to do the show. He definitely actually wanted it to be more of like what I usually do, but I just asked him, I was like, hey man, you know, like I'm just going to ask you to believe in me and just going to ask you to let me have this opportunity to do something kind of crazy with it. I felt like when I made the show, even until Saturday night, I was like, look, I might not ever have the opportunity to do something like this again. I just want to go hard and I want to challenge myself and I want to do something new. And being here at the museum, I've learned a lot about how like really great artists think and how they work through their process and how they do what they do and why they do what they do. So it actually also made me feel more comfortable with the process because I've been working so closely with these people that I understand it now. Like it really demystified a lot of what it takes to like make a piece of art that is, you know, whatever, worthy of selling. You know what I'm saying? And so that to me was like a really was also another interesting process. And then to have this show, to actually sell a bunch of art, to have the love that I got, it really then just kind of reinforced that, like, yo, you know what? Like, nah, I'm not bugging. Like, I'm actually right. And to be honest, when I made something that was like the most personal I could possibly make it and the most real to myself, but also the most challenging to myself, I've gotten the most love than I've ever gotten for anything I've ever done. You know what I'm saying? And that to me is like I said, it's just like that kind of full circle. It's just made me like been like, okay, like it's good. Like this is how I think. This is how things are supposed to feel. This is how it's supposed to go. You know, like now I feel like appreciated for being vulnerable versus like rejected for being vulnerable. You know, and that's nice to be on the other side of it. But I'm glad that I started my career that way instead of starting it with the love and then getting the hate. Now I think it's a lot easier for me to actually embrace the love, really understand who really feels it too. You know what I'm saying? Like I could separate the real love from the fake love now, because I got so much hate and so much fake love for so long that now when I get real love, I can really appreciate it and then cultivate those relationships and roll with those people, such as this conversation we're having right now, you know? So yeah, man, that's what I would say. Definitely went through that a lot to kind of like make me who I am today. But I mean, it was hard. It was a lot of hard nights, man. Like a lot of hard nights, dude. Like me and my wife talk about it all the time. We're like, yo, like, damn, like it's like shit just started getting good, because it was like, man, even for me and my homies, like we talk about it. Even when we talk to like a lot of like young people who ask us for advice and shit, who like want to do something and get on, we're always like, yo, look, you're going to have a lot of hard nights, yo. You're going to have a lot of times where you look in the mirror and you feel like, what the fuck's going on? You're going to have a lot of days where you might look at something, you don't understand why it seems like everybody else is winning and you're not, you know? But sometimes it's like you just really gotta embrace that and understand it's not always gonna be like that. And I think this is the first time in my life that hasn't felt like that. Wow. So that's really cool. So the collective, but it's also a loose form thing. Like I have my homie Devin, my homie Chris, my homie Lou. There's a lot of people like, you know, my wife. That's probably like, and me. I probably like the core of us. And then like after that, there's always like a bunch of artists like at different times like being involved. There's some people who like consider themselves just like felt artists forever. Man, it's a mad loosely defined collective, but like definitely on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like I think for me, like it's like. I mean, it really definitely comes from like me growing up in the New York era where there was like Rough Riders and, you know what I'm saying, like Murder Inc. and like Rockefeller, like, you know what I'm saying? It's definitely like that sort of thing where you would look and you'd be like, yo, is Twista on Rockefeller? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like you never really knew like who was on what. Like, you was like, yo, is Nas on Murder Inc.? Like, this people is crazy. Were just kind of exactly, but people was kind of everywhere. And so that's literally, man, like that's what I try to do. Like, it's just me bringing that vibe to it. Like that was kind of like my point or my purpose. So that's how it felt. That's why, like, at any time, I'd say probably like a dozen people, and it's just people that, you know what I'm saying, are kind of like loosely involved. But like, if anybody's down and wants to do something, and we always like, you know, like I have a homie named Ruby Gloom who lives in Hong Kong, and she's like in my opinion, like one of the dopest like 3D artists, you know, like doing anything right now. And me and her collaborate all the time, and like we're about to, I'm about to bring her art to America for the first time. You know what I'm saying? And like, and that's just that's felt. You know what I mean? So it's like that. But like, she has her own independent career. She does other stuff that had nothing to do with us. But like, she considers herself like a felt artist too, and we do felt projects together. There's an artist named like Jerron Braxton. I've had his art in like a bunch of our shows. He's like, you know, been like one Sundance Film Festival, has been nominated for Oscars. And then he does his own shit, gets super busy. But you know, I've even had his art here at the museum. I think about like yeah, man, just like a lot of different homies. I have a homie named Thomas McMahon, and like that dude, man, like he's like, once again, like he's another dude who like literally won an Emmy for like best like intro special effects, you know what I'm saying? Like, but then at the same time, like he basically gave me like 20 minutes of videos that I could just use whenever I want, like literally whenever I want. If I want to blast them in this museum right now, I could. He's just like, yo, this is yours, do whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for me, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the collective is really about. Like, that's what we do. And if somebody does that for me, then I just try to do what I can to like promote them, put them in every opportunity I have, and just like really, really blast their stuff. That's why even this last show at Swim was so different. Like, I never really stopped and just did something like about myself like that. Like, I usually am curating like bigger group shows shows, and I'll throw like maybe one or two of my own drinks in there, but then also rock with the homies too. So I think in the same way, I'm also like I'm excited to do that stuff again. Like now especially now I did this show for so long, I'm glad to I want to get back to that, you know. And that's a lot of what we do over the summer. Like we throw a lot of events with Super Chief LA and Super Chief New York, and they just kind of let us take over their space and like project, like 360 project all over everything, and just do like fire stuff with them. So I always love doing that too, man. So yeah, man, it's always some crazy, bro, but. Yeah, there's a lot of artists that come up to me all the time. Like I have friends now who work for like Vice in Germany, and they're like, yo, like I got this job because of the project with Felt that we did together. You know what I'm saying? So like people that, you know, have a record label. I mean, there's people all over literally all over the world who like say like Felt is the reason why they were able to break into what they broke into.
School of Felt.
Exactly. Exactly. So like that's basically what we do, man. Just like really embrace that and go with that. I think a lot of that comes from my grandparents. My grandfather was a teacher, as well as being a pharmacist. My grandmother was a teacher. My mom is a teacher. My sister's a teacher. So I think the idea of like community and like helping people and supporting people is something that's like really natural to me, and like I just it's like pretty much second nature. So I don't think I could really like be a part of like the art world or be a part of this and not do that. Like I think no matter what I was doing, I'd be doing that. Like even if I was like an accountant, I would be like somehow like trying to help out accountants all over the world, like do something. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's just a part of like who I am, and it's kind of interesting too though, because there's a lot of people since we've been doing the zine who have tried to do something similar to what we've done, especially with like nat art and digital art. They'll just try to post a bunch of stuff, but not really have no real relationships with the artists, not really have no real connection to them. And it's interesting because like a lot of those pages might even blow up, they might work, but none of these people last long, man. Like I've seen pages like Super Deluxe, Hypercube, like they all come and go, and like I mean Super Deluxe had crazy money behind it, but these, I mean, it's they don't build community, you know, and so they get tired of doing it because they don't get anything from it. They don't get anything from it because they haven't invested in community, and they don't understand how to like reap the benefits of that. A lot of people are just looking for like more clout, and the truth is there's not that much more like if you're a fan of this type of stuff, then you know Felt, you know who we are. There's not really that much more people who are really that much interested in this content yet. So that's like a big part of it, man. It's like I've seen so many people also come and go doing this, and it's the constant is always that they don't really care about the community. They don't really care about it like that to make it something that like grows and creating real opportunity for people to come up. And so I think that's also the big difference between like what we do and what a lot of other people do, which is essentially just being repost pages. You know what I'm saying? It's like for us, we're a real community and a real culture, and like people come to our shows and like they really feel like welcome. They feel like we create a space for them that no one else did. That's the fans and the artists. So I think like all of that stuff is super important, and like that's just from, like I said, my pops being a basketball coach, my mom's being a teacher. Like I understand that, you know what I'm saying? Like I understand the importance of that, and I think you have to bring that to the table. Like the art is actually secondary. It's always about humans, you know?
Right. So I agree, man.
I'm trying to think. So I'm underway right now. I'm working on this like really kind of like crazy. It's a really pretty large scale project for PayPal right now. They have like these. They have these showcases at all of their offices where we're going to be like basically making like an entire like AR experience for them, and I am personally like animating it. Like it's my animation throughout the whole thing. It's crazy. It's a lot of work. It's a lot, but it's cool, man. Like I came up with a really kind of dope, interesting style for it. So I'm not excited for that project to come out, and I'm excited to start waiting for the day that I could like really show people that. So that'll probably drop. We're like a month behind with that, but it's all good. We're gonna drop that probably like at the end of March. Following this show, I've been invited to be a part of like a couple other shows. That's been super exciting, just to really, kind of break more into like this lane that I wanted to break into, as far as like, working with people who are like studio artists, such as like painters and sculptors, who do the more traditional art type thing than like more like the digital stuff that I usually do. So that should be big. And then our summer parties, man, we're taking to a new level, man. We're talking to like a couple partners that we're really excited about. Been talking to like a couple brands that are like pretty large scale brands that we're excited about working on, man. I think this year is really going to be the start of. I've been like inching along for a long time, but I think this is just turning out to be a year where a lot of that like work is paying off, man. And I think it's starting to happen. So I'm really excited, man. I mean, like, this show was like such a big marker for me. Like, really, man, I have like, I'm glad, bro. I have a couple homies who are doing some like really dope rap projects that I'm excited to do stuff with, and even just getting into like the more music side of things. I have a homie named Silk Money, who was a part of Divine Council, who just dropped his album, and he dropped it on like streaming services, but we're gonna be pressing vinyl for that, and I'm like super excited to like produce that, be a part of that. One of my favorite producers in the game, Sabb, who works a lot with like Westside Gun and Makami, him and I have been talking about doing a project together. There's a homie named Jay Nice, who used to go by Nice Supreme. He probably definitely one of my favorite like rappers right now. Like, I was just loving his album and just was kind of like talking about it on Instagram, and then he reached out. He loved what I was doing. Like, we're working on doing a project together. So yeah, man, just like honestly, dude, like I feel like working with people who I have a lot of respect for. These next and what's so crazy is like the respect level is so high now. Like, it's like we're both, everybody is so reciprocal that I kind of was like, if y'all don't mind, like I gotta kind of like focus, these first few months on my show. Once the show is done, let's start cracking in March, and then let's see what we can do for the rest of the year. And everybody kind of waited for me, man, and they're just like, yeah, we got you, like let's do it. So that's been beautiful, man. It's like I have so much that's gonna come. I think the next 2 or 3 months, it's gonna be me working on this stuff, and then you're gonna start to see all of that hit in summer. And my hope is that I can keep this kind of cycle going, where it's like I can spend a couple months really grinding, getting some projects going while I'm doing that, reach out to people who I really want to work with, get bigger projects, and just keep being, like, stay low, come up, do some fight, and just I really find this cycle to be pretty good for me right now. To be able to focus on making some really dope content, drop it, everybody's feeling good, and then when that's out, everybody's celebrating that. I'm working on the next joint, getting it ready. So I feel like I finally have kind of a system for that. My wife has been helping me like crazy manage all this stuff, and even on the other end, working with these businesses like PayPal, making sure we're getting good deals, stuff like that. So I just feel like everything is really cooking, man, and working in a way that it should. And so I think that's what it's going to be like. Like, I think more than any one individual project, I'm just excited. Like, now I have consistent projects and consistent opportunities coming up that I'm like, and I'm excited about all of them. So
wow,
yeah.
That's amazing, man. It's like I said, mad inspiring.
Thank you, man.
Sitting here, and then I know you said it took a long time just to work in that groove, and now you're getting your cycle together.
Yeah.
So out of everything that you do,
yeah,
what's your favorite thing that never saw the light of day? Like, whether it was art or movies.
It's probably, honestly, I'll have to say, so I have this thing where I say I listen to a lot of my friends, right? Definitely listen to my wife all the time, because I think that. And it's funny because I was listening to this philosophy. I listen to a lot of philosophy podcasts. I've just taken a lot of philosophy. I'm an audio learner, so I like to listen to things rather than read them. I just take it in better. So I listen to a lot of philosophy podcasts. And there's this philosopher. I'm not going to pronounce his name right, but his name's Kierkegaard. And basically, he talks about anxiety and all these kind of things. But basically, one of the concepts is not how he says it, this is how I say it, but I've been saying this for a long time and he echoed it, so I feel like it's the shit now. It's basically the concept of like, you ever notice, like, it's easier for you to tell other people what to do than to do it yourself, right? And you know, basically what he really says is, you know what you should be doing, but it's hard to do it, right? Like, we all know you should work out every day, but you don't work out. I mean, I don't anyway. I don't work out every day, but you know you should. A lot of people don't do things. You know you shouldn't be eating burgers, but you still eat the burger. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what's right, but you just don't always do it. Alright, so with that being said, my homie, everybody I know, like I talked about the beat tape that I did. I have this beat tape, and like seriously, everybody who I know, everybody who I really respect has told me straight up, like, you should drop this. This is fire. I still ain't dropped it. I don't know why. I'm just like, I think I'm very self-conscious about it. Like, I think music just means so much to me that I'm not ready to let go of it. As I talk about it now, I'm like, bro, I should just go home and drop it. But I'm not. I know I'm not. And that's one of the things, man. So that's what it is. I have this beat tape that's gone by a couple of different names. It's been sitting there so long. It's had like 5 names. At one point it was called like the Supreme Polo tape. At one point it was like there's this soccer player named Chalino who got like caught like selling drugs and worked with the cartel. So it was like at one point called like Chalino meets Baldwin. It was just all these like, it's always had like these like kind of like wild names, but it's always been the same tape. And everybody I've played it for really enjoys it, and they really like love it, man. And honestly, dude, I have homies who are making music who I have a homie who's seriously who's in Nashville right now, like learning how to make vocals, like really diving his shit into music. And he's like, bro, this was inspired by that tape. Like, I'm back into music because of that tape. I have another homie who was like bought like an SP. And he was like, dude, I bought this because of your tape. Yeah, son, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, all of my homies, like, this shit, they niggas love it. But I never dropped it to the public. And every time I tell them, like, yo, I'm thinking about dropping it, they're like, yeah, do it. I never drop it. So, I would say that's probably the one. I don't love it like that, though, but my niggas love it. So I would say it has to be that. Because, like I said, I believe that, like, other people, especially people who are close to you, they know what's better for you than you do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's how it always is. That's you know, fair. Your homies can always tell you, like, bro, that's not the way to go, and they're always right. You know what I'm saying? You might not even listen to them, but you know they was right, and then they proved to be right. That's how my friends are, so that's what they all say, so it's got to be that one. Yeah. Hopefully, like this year, I just drop it. But I don't know. I probably would make a whole new beat tape before I drop that one. To be real,
is it because it's kind of personal to you at this point?
Yeah, and man, I think it's super personal. I think, yeah, man. I don't know, man. I gotta think about that one and figure it out. I think it's because it's the personalness of it. Honestly, though, I feel like it's not like completely done yet. To be real, like there's a couple of concepts that like I've thought about adding to it, and I have like over time, like I have like little things here and there, like little skits or something, or I might like add like one little sample somewhere or something like that, you know. So, and to be real with you, like there's been a couple of like a couple of things that have happened recently where I'm like, all right, if I add this to it, then I could drop it. And I think that's the thing. I think that there's like one more wave of just like a little bit that could be added in there, and then I would think like, yo, this is a full complete project. I could drop it. I think for me, it just doesn't feel complete. It could be complete to other people, but I think to me, there's still a little bit in there that I know it's like it needs something else.